Welcome back to the third part of the Cedar Fair coaster lineup bracket. The semifinals are set and it's the top 4 seeds all matched up. If you missed any of the previous 2 parts, go check them out on the channel. For this round, we will extend the first round of those top 3 coasters to 4 now, and then the supporting groups. Tiebreakers will go to the 5th ride if anything splits and there's a weird tie. So let's dive in. Number 1, Cedar Point versus number 4, Carowinds. The roller coast of America versus the cross-state park that just keeps on growing. Let's jump right into the top 4 rides. Cedar Point will throw out Steel Vengeance, Maverick, Millennium Force, and Top Thrill Dragster, while Carowinds will run out Fury, Copperhead, Afterburn, and Intimidator. Leading off are going to be the Giga Coasters, the first Giga and the more modern sculpture of a Giga. Melee offers a speed rush that's really unmatched as it races through its massive course and offers a bit of airtime and overbanks. Fury 325 holds the advantage in height, speed, length, and most importantly airtime. Now while Melee is a personal favorite of mine, the clear advantage here just goes to the simply better design Fury 325. 1-0 Carowinds. Next up, Maverick and Copperhead Strike. The smaller and lower to the ground launch coasters, both rides feature some inversions, strong airtime moments, and multiple launches. Maverick focuses more on intense S-bend of a style of a layout, while Copperhead has hang time galore. The point really comes down to the launches here. While Maverick's first is really barely a launch and it's up a lift hill, the second one is one of the better launches around and it easily trumps both of Copperhead's, so point goes to Maverick to tie it at 1 apiece. Now for a hyper airtime fight, Steel Vengeance and Intimidator. It's a little bit of a lopsided match here, but Intimidator offers a modern B&M hyper experience with plenty of airtime across the layout and would stand up against many rides. Unfortunately, it's in a whole nother league compared to the record airtime machine that is Steel Vengeance. Not much needs to be said here except that an RMC hyper is simply better. 2-1 Cedar Point. Finally, we have the remaining Top Thrill Dragster and Afterburn. Both intensity-driven rides, they offer polarizingly different experiences. The inversion and trench diving invert against the Strata launch coaster, and simply put, it takes an elite invert to topple a high-quality launch coaster. Luckily for Carowinds, Afterburn is one of the better B&M inverts around, and it's going to steal a point here simply for being a more complete ride, and the matchup will move to the supporting rides. Now we have to look at what's left. Carowinds has a serious quality issue, really starting at their number 5 coaster, which is probably Nighthawk of Vekoma Flyer, and then there's a Boomerang, a Dinwoody, Arrow Corkscrew, B&M Stand-Up, all kind of small and or trashy rides. Cedar Point sends out Raptor, Gatekeeper, Valraven as massive B&Ms, Magnum and Gemini as notable large-scale arrows, and simply put, they have better rides top to bottom of their supporting coasters. Cedar Point wins the point and the matchup to advance to the finals by a score of 3-2. Number 2, Canada's Wonderland versus number 3, Kings Island. Another pair of monster parks will fight it out here. North of the border, we'll be sending out Leviathan, Behemoth, Yukon Striker, and Vortex, while coming off the island is Mystic Timbers, Orion, Diamondback, and Banshee. The BM trios here are impressive on their own. So let's start with the invert versus the dive. Both 2 of the newer of their respective models, they both feature vest restraints. Banshee is the longest invert, Yukon is the tallest dive coaster. While dives get a bad rap, there is a mild nature to the ride that Banshee feasts on, but 2 things are critical here: the smooth nature of Yukon Striker and the sheer size of the 230-foot dive. With just enough length and height, Yukon will take the first point 1-0 just because Banshee can run so rough in certain points. Next up are the hyper coasters, Diamondback and Behemoth. They're both the longer trained B&M hypers, and they're stacked with airtime. They share heights, near length, and they're 1 degree off on their drops. Diamondback has a very slight edge in speed, but it's the rougher ride. It's really a coin toss here, and without riding both, I'm gonna have to lean towards the smoother, more re-rideable experience of Behemoth. So it goes 2-0 Canada's Wonderland. Then we have the Gigas, the monsters, Orion and Leviathan. Orion is the 2020 high-rising floater machine, and Leviathan is the B&M Giga prototype that focuses more on speed than airtime. The Orion drop is going to be a little superior here with a 5-degree difference, even though Leviathan sports a little bit of extra height. Leviathan also has a little bit of extra speed and length, but it's not very noticeable. However, the newer Orion has riders out of their seats most of the ride, and even if it could use some extra elements, so could its cousin in Canada. Edge goes to Orion 2-1. Then we have the wild cards, an Arrow suspended coaster and a GCI Woody. Now Vortex is widely considered one of the best remaining Arrow suspended coasters out there. Between the location and just the ride experience, it seems amazing. Now the issue here is even the best of the suspended coasters can't compete with an elite wooden roller coaster, and Mystic is simply amazing. Smooth as can be while bucking like a bronco and ripping through the out and back layout, it's an easy point to tie the score at 2 apiece. Finally, we have the supporting rides. Wonderland is simply dead in the water here. The best ride left may be Backlot Stunt Coaster, or maybe one of their wooden coasters, but nothing above good. Kings Island doesn't really have a bad ride left in the park. Flight of Fear, Racer, Bat, and Vertigo simply dominating and pushing Kings Island to the finals 3-2. So the finals for next week are set. Number 1 Cedar Point against number 3 Kings Island. Next week is going to be a full matchup, coaster for coaster, ride for ride. So make sure to subscribe and come check it out next Friday. Till then, that's all from the shores of Island Coasters.